Hey there, my name is Hydrogen Heather, and thank you so much for joining us for today's experiment of the day. We are going to be exploring and creating density bottles, and I know that density bottles for an adult like you or I are completely old hat. We've all done it 1,000 times, but do you know why we've done it 1,000 times? It's because it's an ages-old experiment that carries very high impact for elementary students. So let's jump right in. The ingredients and materials are very simple. Everything should come right from your pantry. We need 3 cups so that we can do 3 different liquids, and we want to use cups that we can see through so that the children can see that all cups have equal volumes of different liquids. We're going to need a disposable water bottle, and then our 3 liquids are going to be water, corn syrup, and oil. We'll need a stir stick, and a spoon will work just fine if you don't have a popsicle stick hanging around. Food coloring, and then finally, if you are not comfortable pouring from a cup into a water bottle, we just made this little homemade funnel from a piece of foil, and after a little bit of experimenting, we found that a square with the sides about the length of a forefinger works perfectly. So let's jump right in. We're going to be discovering density today, and I will tell you that density equals mass divided by volume, okay? Can any one of you explain the details of that to me?
Take the mass and divide it by the volume.
You take the mass and divide it by the volume. I don't know how clearly you can see their eyes, but immediately they were glazed over with boredom and confusion, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. Instead of trying to quantify it mathematically at this age, what we are gonna do is we're gonna look at equal volume. So let me ask, would all of you agree that these 3 are all filled up to the same point in the cup?
Yes.
Okay, now don't say anything yet, but I'm going to hand you 2 of the cups. I'm going to hand you corn syrup and oil, and you tell me, do they feel the same, or does one feel heavier? Does one feel lighter? So don't tell me the answer yet, but you just feel it. Tell me if you feel a difference, or just think to yourself if you feel a difference. Okay. Good job, buddy. Okay, now that all of you have held those 2 liquids of equal volume, did one feel heavier than the other, or did they feel the same? So,
That one felt heavier.
okay, do you agree or not agree?
It felt the same.
Okay, so I know that we're talking about mass here, but the concept of mass mathematically and physically is very difficult at the elementary age level. So a good way to just approximate it is by using the concept of weight. We can definitely tell equal amounts of the 2 liquids, but the cornstarch is absolutely heavier than the oil, okay? And then you can compare it with the water as well. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm just going to add a couple of drops of food coloring. And then Savannah and Daniel, can you please stir that just a little bit? So I put the food coloring into the water. It does not matter what color. Okay, now let Savannah stir. All right, nice work. And now I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to put some red food coloring into the corn syrup. And just, again, a few drops. And I'm going to ask the 2 of you to each just take a quick turn at stirring that. Oh, and she just said it's a lot harder. So actually, we're already feeling and seeing some differences in the 2 liquids. It does look like Jello. Here, let these 2 feel it as well. So these guys are feeling a definite difference when they're stirring the water versus the corn syrup. Okay, let Daniel have a quick stir.
It looks like Jello.
Hey, good job, buddy. You gotta have some strong hands for that, right? Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that very messy stick out, and I actually am going to use the funnel for at least the corn syrup, because of course corn syrup is very thick and viscous and can be messy. So let's pour that in the bottle. And we're gonna just let that go to the bottom. Now, if you're using a small homemade foil funnel, of course, speed is very important. If you pour too fast, the corn syrup is going to be so thick that it will run right over the top of the foil. So this is where we have to be just a little bit patient. Oh, thank you, buddy. You're making that nice and stable. All righty. Okay, so we have a nice layer of corn syrup on the bottom.
That's cool.
Now, I'm reasonably sure that I can pour the next two liquids in without too much of a mess. So next, I'm going to pour my green water, and I just want all four of you to kind of observe and just tell me what happens to the liquids. Do they mix? Do they not mix? Just anything that you notice.
They're not mixing.
They're not mixing. It's like it's.
Wait, it goes on top.
It's stacking.
Okay, so I'm hearing things like they're not mixing, they're stacking, they're not going together. Okay, I noticed the same thing. I see two distinct layers. Well,
Can you shake it?
right now we are looking at two distinct densities. All right, we've got the same volume of both liquids, but one of those liquids is packed together, it has a greater density, which means it's going to sink to the bottom. So now I'm going to put oil in. Give me some ideas of what you think might or might not happen.
It might mix in because it's stacked or something.
Okay, it might not mix in because it might be lighter, and we didn't test oil against water, so I'm not sure. And you're saying that you might see more of that stacking effect? All right, so let's pour this in. Okay, so what are you noticing now?
It stacks by getting this bubble.
Ah, okay.
The light than the yellow.
Okay, I'm seeing and hearing a lot of observations, but they're all pointing to the fact that we have three different stacks here. We have three different densities of liquid, and there's also something else going on if you want to go a little bit deeper, like maybe with your 5th or 6th or 7th graders when you're going into density bottles. Also, with the oil and the water, we're dealing with the topic of polarity, and that's just the way that the molecules of oil react or repel the water molecules. And so that's a whole deeper discussion altogether. But before we go, now I'm going to ask for you to make a prediction. You've seen what happens here. You could feel the difference in the density when you held the liquid in your hands. What do you think might or might not happen if we shake this bottle really good?
It'll mix up. It might mix it. They might switch places.
Okay, so they may mix, they may switch places. Anything else? No? Okay, well, let's give it a try. I'm gonna bring this down the line, and I want each one of you to give it a really good hard shake. All right, yep, shake as hard as you like, and I'll pass it to Daniel.
It looks so weird.
And Daniel, get 2 hands on that and shake it. Oh, good job, buddy. I'm gonna give it a shake too. There we go. Now you give it a shake.
It's like chocolate milk.
It does look like chocolate milk. Although that color is just a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, maybe a little too brown.
Okay, now what happened to those liquids?
Mixed in.
They mixed in and it turned like brown.
Okay, so first of all, did the colors mix?
Yes.
Absolutely. And did the layers, all of the different liquids mix as well?
Yes.
Okay, now here's what we're not going to do on camera because this is going to be a timed experiment. Now that we're done, we're going to set this down. In about 5 minutes, we're going to come back and look to see if everything is the same or if anything may have changed. And then after that 5 minutes, I'm going to make them give me some more predictions on what happens if we wait 5 minutes longer. So this is timed. Let this go on for an hour or so and have your children see what may happen or what may not happen and see if their predictions come true. And there's one more thing that you can try. Before you shake this up or after you shake it up, what is also fun is to test the density of different objects that you can drop into the bottle. So grab a Cheerio, grab a marshmallow, grab something heavier like a Skittle. Try different objects from your pantry and see what happens if you set them in the liquid and don't shake. Just see where they do go or where they don't go. So we truly hope, are you already seeing a change?
Yes.
She saw that change and couldn't resist that she had to pick it up and look at it up close. We're not going to talk too much about that change. I'm going to leave that to you and your children. Have great fun with the density bottles, and we will see you right back here tomorrow.